Well, hey guys, if you think back to the first video with this car, you'll recall it had quite a severe squeak when I finally got it started. And that is all due actually to the generator. It is the wrong generator for this vehicle. So we are going to swap that out for the correct one. Then we'll test it, get the right current going through the voltage regulator to the battery so we know it's charging and not overcooking the battery. And we can check this project off the list. First thing I think I'll do is get this side plate off so we can access things a whole lot easier. So bear with me one moment. Now I'll be honest, I worked ahead of you a little bit here. I found out testing wires that the field wire was shot, had no continuity through it, and that's originally a white wire, of course cloth covered wire, and I only had au naturel, and so that's what I replaced it with. But anyway, that fixed that problem, but we're going to get this generator out of there. I'll get a light hooked up and we'll take the belt off and move from there. Looks like this may have originally been green too. Alright, let's get these wires off. Of course I didn't grab the right size of wrench. Nope. This generator is most likely off a Chevy, and it is upside down. You can't oil the bushings with an upside down generator. Probably be a great idea to disconnect the battery. Okay, there's the wire. Let's get the launcher. Now let's get the adjustment bracket bolt. It's a hard one to get the hands in at. There we go. Now our hinge bolts. Hinge bracket bolts. One out of there. Just drove this thing testing the speedometer. If you watch that video, everything's a little warm yet. Okay, get the belt off. Get this off. Okay. There we go. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is address this bent pulley problem. Right there, right in through there. Make sure they're the same. Yeah, roughly. Now this is an older rebuild. It actually came in this box. You know, this could be from the 40s, could be from the 50s, I don't know. And actually I almost prefer that because whoever rebuilt this was doing so when these cars were still on the road and they had experience with it. And secondly, the parts they were putting into this were parts that were good quality, made in USA parts, just like the original. Having said that, if all you can find is a modern rebuild, hey, I'd use it too. But there's something about this old stuff that I just prefer. So Easy, turbo. You can see how much shorter this thing is than this one. This one is a $11,02693, and this Buick one is $11,01052, I believe, if I remember right. And just to show you the differences real quick. So my oil cups are up, and I've got the two, what I call the hinge points, pointing up, the adjustments down. My oil cups are up on what I'm calling the Chevy one. My adjustment tab is up, and my hinge points are down. If you remember, on a Stowbolt Chevy, the mounting bracket is clear down on the bottom of the block, just above the oil pan. So we're going to change this condenser over. Just like so. Suppose I could take a peek inside the dust cover there. Okay, now I'm guessing I'm going to have to search for some correct hardware, since it had the wrong generator in it. Come on now. You get in there. Okay. See if I can start this front bolt here. There we go. Yeah, get another one going the opposite direction there. Come on now. What? There. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? There she is. Okay, get that one in there. Oh, that's not a threaded. That's that really not threaded? You turkey. Ah, it is. It's just 3/8, not 5/16 like a Chevy. Okay. Get that started. Is that really? That's not on. I wonder if that's all the way on over there. I'm going to have to open up the hood on the other side. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get this buttoned up, and I'll get back with you in a second. So much handier to hook these up now that they're not upside down. Whoop. Condenser. You get on there, and you maybe someday these people will let me completely rewire this car. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? And that am I losing my mind? Now that we have the right generator and the right geometry going on, the fan belt's a little too big. But it should spin it for now, and we'll just get a smaller one later. I'm clear at the end of my adjustment, and it's a little bit loose. Okay. Well, let's see if we're spitting out any juice here. No, on second thought, the first thing I want to do is polarize the generator. So I've got a jumper from the armature lead, or I could go here at the generator terminal on the voltage regulator. Oh, this wiring is so bad. And this is the battery terminal. So that has 6 volts to it, and just we'll touch this for a couple seconds and it may spark. Okay, so that generator should know which way's up now. So now we're going to see if it is spitting out any juice. Get this grounded. Good ground there. Double check. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I have a little under half a volt. I'm going to have to get a tripod. Hold on. Like I was saying, a little under half. You could also put this lead at the armature stud on the generator. The generator does not charge, or it does not charge much at idle, okay? When you speed it up, power goes through the regulator, closes the contact points, and sends it to the battery. So you have to idle up to test it. Idle up. You have to speed your engine up. Now we saw that that was putting out about 7.5 volts when I sped up the engine, which is good, but we don't know what's actually getting to the battery as far as amperage and as far as voltage. So I've got an ammeter hooked in series with the battery terminal. Okay, I disconnected this wire that makes its way back to the battery, and I put this ammeter in series with it. And I'm going to keep my voltmeter grounded out, and we're also going to read. I will try and probe that. See if I can do all this with one hand. Okay, at idle we're at 0. Not much reaction there, but that could be due to the fact that the battery's been on a battery tender, and it has had no lights are on, no radios on. Okay. Let's see what we get as far as voltage. Yeah, 6.5. So we're low as far as both are concerned. That gauge is showing a discharge, but I wouldn't trust that gauge anyway, so I think that belt seems to be turning it just fine. I think we'll have to open this up and do a little adjustment. Now I think I will straighten this pulley and switch it back over. They are very, very close to the same size, if not the same size. The style is just a little bit different, and I'd like to have the right one on there. And I will also get a slightly smaller belt so that it's correct. But for the sake of the video, I just can't get it all done right now. I live too far away from the parts store that I like to use, and frankly, they don't even have it on the shelf. They had to get it for tomorrow. So I promise you, I will fix those two things right. But for now, we are going to get into the voltage regulator and try to adjust this. Now typically a 6-volt generator, you speed them up and they'll easily give 8, 9, maybe even 10 volts, you know, depending on how fast you're running the engine. And that's where your regulator comes into play. You've got to regulate that current and the voltage going to the battery. If you have a generator that you want tested, by all means take it in and have it tested, but you want to take your voltage regulator, because that is where all of the regulation takes place, okay? Your generator produces much more amperage and much more voltage than you want sent to the battery. And so the guy is going to want this so that he can hook it in line and make sure what's coming out of here is correct for your battery. Okay? He can easily spin up your generator and tell you it's producing 10 volts and 30 amps, but you don't by any means want that much going to the battery. Now guys, if you don't want to do this procedure yourself, by all means don't do it. I suppose there is some element of risk involved with it. You have to be very careful that you're not going to arc anything in there and burn up some electrical equipment on the car. I suppose there is some amount of risk of electrocution to yourself. But if you're careful, you study what you're doing, you learn, you know, just put a little time into figuring out what's going on, and then you're smart enough to do what I'm about to do. There have been many times when I actually tried doing a more in-depth study on these kind of things, and the result is always the same. After 5 minutes, I snap out of my reverie and realize I've been humming Twilight Zone by Golden Earrings. You know, when an electrical geek gets going, suddenly I just don't care anymore. You know, my brain is not going to want to accept that much information on something. It's just not going to want to. I want to work on my car, and that's it. What we have here is a voltage regulator. I've considered doing an entire video talking like W.C. Fields. What do you think?
You know, there's something awfully big about you.
Thank you, dear. Thank you, dear. Thank you.
Your nose.
Something awfully big about you, too.
So we want to be very careful pulling this cover off. You do not want to create an arc across two terminals here. So we're just going to pull it straight off. There we can see the two electromagnets in there. Many typical voltage regulators have 3, but this is the correct replacement model for this Buick. It originally would have had 5 wire regulator on it. And I believe this is a Delco Remy 213 model, which is the correct one. So this is our line coming in from the armature. That's the generator terminal. I have my ammeter clipped on the battery terminal. Center one's a ground, and the left one is the field terminal. Now I'm going to get set up with my gauges here in a minute, but what you have is your power from the generator coming in here, and it's trying to go through this set of points to this wire out to the battery. The points are here because when you are back at idle, the power in the battery is greater than that at the generator, so you don't want juice flowing backwards, okay? And that shuts it off. Now from the field, you have a wire coming across to this electromagnet, and when that gets to a certain voltage, that's what closes these points and allows current to flow to the battery. And then this electromagnet here, this is regulating voltage and your amperage. I'll admit, I'm not 100% sure. Normally there's 3 electromagnets in a regulator, and one regulates current, one regulates voltage. This one has 2. I don't know if current and voltage are just kind of on the same thing. You know, you increase your voltage, you increase your amperage at the same time. I freely admit on this model, I don't know that 100%. But I am going to increase this. Like we saw when I tested it, it was a little low. So I need to increase spring tension, so I'm going to bend these tabs. Hello? Come in. What's up, babes?
I don't know.
Well, one of the kids came in, so we had a brief Mad Libs break there. But on this model, you need more spring tension to make the contact points in here harder to open by the electromagnet. Thereby, you're sending more current through before it breaks the connection. So what I'm going to do is just reach in here and get these tabs just a little bit more. I'm not going to get carried away here. Try that. And there are models here where each set of contact points, they have a screw you actually turn to adjust the spring tension. So I'm going to start it. We're going to look for roughly 7.2 volts, and on the amperage gauge we only want about 10 amps going to the battery on this one. So here's the tool I'd like to be using on this project, but at the moment it looks like it would start more fires than it would help prevent. So I've actually really been wanting to do a restoration video on this thing. Someday. Right now I'm just seeing battery voltage on there. See that cutout contact? You see it open and close there? least we know that part's working. Okay, got way ahead of myself there. Way too much. We better back that off a little bit. Still too much. That's probably too much back now. Yep, that adjustment is so terribly finicky. Just want a tiny bit more. Just ever so slightly more. Come on, 7-1, 7-2. There we go. That's perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, we will get things reconnected here. I always forget which one of those wires is from the battery. One of them is from the field, the old field wire. If a guy would take 3 seconds and label something. Okay, that's the battery wire. Practice what I preach. That's what it comes down to. This is the part that usually makes me the most nervous, is getting that screw straight. I don't want to go crooked and arc something wrong in there. We got her. Okay, we can take a look inside at the voltage gauge, but I bet you it's kind of going a little wacky. I think the gauge is just about shot. Well, let's go in there, fire it up, and see what it does. Ignition, contact. Yeah, see, it certainly goes up into charge. You know, it obviously is in need of calibration. Goes up into charge, but she flops down to discharge. Anyway, we know that the generator is doing what it's supposed to do. We know the voltage regulator is doing what it's supposed to do, and that the proper current and the proper voltage is getting out to the battery. And that's the most important thing. So that's going to do it on this one for now. Next up, I'll probably handle the fuel pump because it is dripping. And that's just kind of dangerous. So come back soon. Thanks for watching. God bless you. We'll see you next time.